Governor Youngkin and local school divisions are taking action to address cell phone use in schools. And that means students across the state will face new restrictions during the next school year. Senior reporter Joe DeShiel is in studio with that story. Joe, what is the reaction?
Well, Jean, certainly we can expect opposition from students and concern from parents who want to be in touch with their children, especially in the case of an emergency. But we're also hearing strong support from many people who believe sensible restrictions on cell phone use in the classroom are overdue. The governor's executive order calls on the Virginia Department of Education to draft guidelines for local school divisions. The department will issue its final guidance on cell phone-free education in September, with local school divisions adopting policies and procedures by January 1st. And Virginia Secretary of Education Amy Gadara says the state is building on the success of school systems that have already adopted new restrictions.
We have over 24, including Hanover last night, who just voted in, their school board just voted this in, who have looked at the data and realized that we are on the cusp of losing a generation of children and that we can't wait now. We need to make sure that every child in Virginia has the opportunity to be in a school where they can learn and they can be distraction free.
A number of school systems in our part of Virginia are also working on new policies. Roanoke City Public Schools, for example, presented the results of their review Tuesday night with a two-tiered approach, with phones away for the day in grades K through 8 and away during instruction for grades 9 through 12.
And so we're proud to be ahead of the curve on this important topic.
Others have been working on the problem as well, including U.S. Senator Tim Kaine, who introduced a bipartisan bill for a federal study. State Senator Bill Stanley introduced a bill that would have encouraged school divisions to take action. He applauds the governor's executive order and says he wishes the General Assembly had acted sooner.
We've seen in the schools that have limited cell phone use is cyberbullying goes down, learning goes up. There are less fights, less physical altercations because people aren't taunting each other on social media while the school day is going on. And I think it makes a real difference. So I hope that every school system embraces what the governor's trying to do.
The Virginia Education Association is calling for a nuanced approach that considers the real-world needs of teachers and students. And Jean, the VEA is urging the Department of Education to engage in what it describes as a meaningful dialogue to develop policies that are practical, enforceable, and in the best interest of educators, students, and their families.
Joe DeShiel, thank you.